day 3 in the airport. I'm in East Africa. I'm so far away from home. I kind of feel homeless now. Never been stranded before. It causing me a lot of anxiety. My channel, my name is Mia, and I make travel, vlog, storytime, videos. Like, I'm so sorry guys if this video is like all over the place. This is like my first time doing a storytime video. I've been meaning to do one for a while. This was a real experience I had. It's been a crazy time, guys. Never been stranded before. And of all places, East Africa, in Ethiopia, all the way there because of a long layover. I think at a certain point, I've been really embarrassed to actually talk about the incident I've had. There were a lot of negative connotation when it comes to we're traveling around March and coronavirus. People were just very hateful towards travelers. I didn't really want to talk about it at the time. Now that it has been 8 months after the incident, I thought what best time to actually talk about it. It's gonna be a very interesting story and something that I think I'll never forget. So 11 p.m. Okay, while I sat for boarding to board my flight from Addis Ababa to Hong Kong, a guy agent was randomly checking boarding passes. He checked mine. He then consulted other agents about my ticket. Now, he told me that I was to get offloaded. I'm missing my flight. Not because I was late, but because basically they're not making me board the plane right now. So sinara nila yung border ng Hong Kong starting today or I think tomorrow when we arrive. So basically, if I go to Hong Kong, they're gonna have to send me back to where I come from. I think not even transit passengers can enter Hong Kong. They're putting me on hold. Probably I'm not gonna board. And soon enough, they actually started calling passengers and I just remained seated. I went through Google. I went through the internet and tried to check travel updates, what is going on. And I was like, so I'm gonna be staying around here and hopefully get that same night in the hotel. Which actually I don't really mind because I know that Ethiopian Airlines would take care of me. Didn't really bother me at the time. At that point, I was pretty hopeful. You know, I was really positive. I was beaming with so much positivity and I actually thought that, you know, I would have spent another night in the hotel and, you know, tomorrow everything's gonna be sorted. Ang bilis sana. I wanted a longer transit. To tell you honestly, if your hotel is this nice, I really want to be quarantined in here and I wish I could stay longer. I looked around me. I was the only passenger that was there. And then later I was directed to the customer service desk. There I learned that there were actually 2 other passengers that was offloaded from that flight. They were all given like heads up, like 4 hours ahead of time. They were around and I was coming from the hotel, so there was no way that I would know that this would actually happen. There was this other guy right next to me that was talking to the agent and I knew that he was actually going to be transiting to Hong Kong all the way to Australia because I've seen him earlier that day when I was actually in the main office trying to actually get my hotel voucher. I just stood in there in silence waiting for my turn, when suddenly there was a guy next to an agent that was wearing a blue sweater. He started talking to me. Like, to my surprise, I learned that he was from the Philippines and we started having a conversation that we were flying to the same destination, to the Philippines from Ethiopia. I thought that it was very cool. I didn't have to be so alone in this foreign airport. I thought it was very unlikely to meet a fellow Filipino of all places in East Africa. We're gonna call him Kuya Don. Okay? The agent then tried to look up flights. Let me remind you guys, this was in 2020 in March. And if you guys remember, the month of March was the craziest. Okay? It was announced to be a pandemic. The travel actually had gone crazy. There was so much fear at that time. I'm sorry if I'm actually looking here. I have my notes in here. It was the craziest time of travel. Borders were closing. The flights had been canceled. Airlines stopped flying. Tickets were surging. Tickets were super expensive. And every time he clicked on something, it just disappeared. Either the flights are being canceled or it's full or it's just, I don't know what was happening. So at this point, there was absolutely no resolution. The agent couldn't find anything. Kuya Don, he started venting his worries, his frustration. He was blaming this, like panicking at this point. And I was like very calm. I wasn't really bothered by it. I just thought, there was no point of like panicking. I was very relaxed. I just thought it was another inconvenience. Between 12 midnight to 1 a.m. The flight actually flew out at 11 p.m. Now we were actually brought to this business class lounge where it was empty. I just had to like charge my phone, plug it in. That's when I actually started updating family and friends with, what was happening, that I got caught up in a new travel restriction. We later joined other offloaded passengers, a lot of passengers flying to Thailand that cannot enter Thailand. Now, the flight that I was on was supposed to be Addis Ababa to Hong Kong via Bangkok. People were unable to actually get into their flights. And if you look at them, you could see a lot of frustration in their faces. Like, I felt fresh at that point. I wasn't bothered. But then I look at them and they look very, very upset. And it was very obvious. They look so dull and tired. Just trying to constantly find ways to actually get back home. We had to be rerouted, but then the flights were very limited. It was past 3 a.m. then. We were all so tired.
So stressful, like getting caught up into like all of these travel restrictions. Now I understand why a lot of people are actually kind of like really upset with everything that is going on. Now it's just really too much. Like, I feel like it's the worst time to be traveling. Ayoko na. Nakakapagod. The current condition in the airport is really, really bad. The uncertainty of travel, the flights are all cancelled. It's not easy to get new flights. People are trying to get home. I'm hoping everything gets better soon and I'm just given, hotels and stuff like that. So, this is the current situation. It's like this empty little...
Sleeping in airports wasn't new to me. Bags were used as pillows. I had a huge scarf used as a blanket in a very cold, freezing airport. Then you wake up in the sound of the airport, the daylight, like people walking, sound of baggage rolling. It's officially our first day in Addis Ababa. And I woke up with so much positivity. Like, I wasn't worried at all. I was a carefree spirit and I thought everything would be fine. We got our meals from the EA lounge. Kuya Don and I actually planned to go together to the main office. Now, this is on the ground floor. To get there, you'd have to go through an X-ray security, get your bags checked, your shoes off. Everything was to be X-rayed. And it was quite a long walk to the main office. Just thankful at this point that I was like traveling light. All I had was a fanny pack, backpack, and a handbag. We were like fresh faces then, so the staff were willing to listen. But then again, there's nothing they can do for us. We weren't the only stranded passengers there. We got to know others, and by the look in their faces, they all looked exhausted being there, hopeless. It wasn't so bad after all. It felt like a community of stranded passengers. And I didn't have to feel so alone. There was a Russian lady who lived in Thailand who can't enter because then she had a tourist visa. She was more eager to get out of there. She was vocal, she was persistent, constantly finding ways, and with that determination, she flew out to Europe on that same afternoon. There was a couple from South Africa and Thailand, and they both flew to like South Africa, but one had to be sent back, forcing them to separate for the meantime. There was this nice Thai lady who spoke very, very little English, and she couldn't enter her own country because she didn't have a medical certificate. And on our second day, she flew out. We met passengers from India, Bangladesh, and Egypt who were there individually, who got to know each other, and they've been there for like 3, 4, 5 days now. And what was unfortunate for them, their government actually closed its borders for its own citizens. There was a huge group from Africa, like a group of 20 that has been stranded in that airport for like over 20 days. None of them were given hotels to stay. It was like a different case scenario for everyone. Everyone was a citizen of a different country. Each country that they're planning to get through actually had its own restrictions, and everything was crazy and tight and confusing at this point. There was the fear of unknown and uncertainty. It really was the craziest time of travel. Borders were closing, flights had been cancelled, airports are closing down, airlines stopped flying. Tickets were surging and people were stranded. And that included me.
Today is officially my first day of being stranded in East Africa. So I'm in Addis Ababa, which is in Ethiopia. Sobrang hassle because they did not allow me to board my flight. They took my baggage off the flight. So I thought I was the only one. But then in that specific flight, there were 3 of us. Dawn, who I just met and I've been hanging out with all day today and last night since we got offloaded. We have each other as company and we have the same destination. Because of the borders closing in Hong Kong like the same day, we are unable to board that flight, and now our choice was to actually be rerouted to yung option naman, hindi lang siya Ethiopian Airlines, kahit na Interline Airlines, pwede din nila i-book yun. And they have to spend on us because we are their responsibility. I haven't slept so well last night. Wala talagang tulog. Hindi naman masyadong puno yung airport right now. Kaya lang, people are constantly moving and then you feel like stuck here in this place and like you don't really know kung ano mangyayari. And these past few days, chill lang ako about all of these travel restrictions, pero now it's like getting really worse and I'm actually, in the center of it all, having to experience it. Na hindi lang naman ako yung nagkakaroon ng transit issues or travel, issues. Madami din dito mga familiar faces na nakikita mo talaga. And yung iba sa kanila mag-isa talaga, walang kausap. And it's good that I have Dawn.
I think if it wasn't for the people that I met there, I think the whole experience would have driven me insane. I grew really frustrated with the fact that the airlines actually lacked communication. It was very frustrating to actually repeat, your case over and over again. It was like the same story over and over again.
So far, they're okay. I just feel like there is lack of order with Ethiopian Airlines, and it seems that they don't, do so much. Like,
how come, are they doing anything about it? To the office and talk to them that they started looking in the system, and unfortunately they couldn't find anything.
But other than that, I don't think they're actually, constantly looking for flights or constantly trying to communicate with you unless you actually try to approach them about it.
The lack of communication.
My worry is that they don't communicate so well. Para pag hindi mo sila tinanong, you're unable to get it. I'm really tired. Really nakakapagod. Officially my second day in the airport and pretty much stuck here. Friends and family back home are asking for updates and stuff like that, and I feel so bad not giving them any because I'm pretty chill here. But then I think it's just right that we try to find the solutions that we need instead of actually just sitting around here doing nothing.
The airport was just, there wasn't really much to do in this airport, okay? I had very few stores, very few restos. Just for actually having meals 3 times a day, it's just a huge help. They serve pretty much the same meal every day, but I couldn't really complain. Meal itself was okay, it was alright. Just really thankful that there was that. Things were really expensive there. I had told her that the airport in Manila has opened up and that there were specific airlines that were flying back. I had to actually look at all of these airlines and I have to check interlines. This was March 28th when Manila Airport Terminal 1 actually started opening its borders. Checked the website. I did everything. I did the searching. There were flights that are flying to Manila that are partnered with Ethiopian Airlines, and that was the flight that I wanted to get in. Just so that, you know, the airline would like just fly out of Addis Ababa. I was in Africa. I was like really frustrated. Like I was so annoyed by him, but he was like, "There's no flights to Manila," he said. I was like, trying to keep my calm there. I had to walk away. I really had to walk away. It's like, ugh. I understand, okay, you're frustrated too, like I am, but I'm trying to find solutions to get out of this shithole. I mean, clearly, there are no flights going to Manila. Ethiopian Airlines does not fly directly to Manila. I had no other solution but to have a transit. All of these big cities or borders actually had closed.
My day 3 in the airport, na parang, I kind of feel homeless now. Like, it's my day 3, I have no confirmed flights. I'm starting to actually realize, you know, the seriousness of this all. The whole situation, like, I've never been stranded before. I feel very upset about it. You know, I don't have a proper bed. I don't get to change my clothes. And grabe, nakakapagod lang to actually go to customer service and talk to them. It's causing me a lot of anxiety being here. And I'm in East Africa. I'm so far away from home. I have to go down, talk to customer service again, get my flight confirmed. Gusto ko lang talaga magka-hotel. Yun lang.
This is the part where it gets crazier. The third day was the craziest day, I'm telling you guys.
Officially my day 3.
I had woken up at like 10 in the morning. It was pretty late.
Nakagising ko lang. Mga 10 o'clock na, 10:30.
But then, you know, what else should I do at the airport?
And wala na akong gana.
Before breakfast, as we put our bags down to grab a plate, the staff there like suddenly asked us to leave, gesturing us to get out of there. There was smoke coming out and we started to smell this. It grew stronger and stronger every minute. Like at some point, you know, I started filming and an employee actually caught me filming and that she wasn't happy about it. Told a coworker of her to talk to me and have this footage deleted, which clearly didn't happen. I was like, okay.
Ano kaya yun, no? Not our lucky day. This past few days, we have no food.
We then started laughing with how unfortunate we feel at this point. Okay, we're gonna die in Africa because of this fire. We then had to like briskly walk to the opposite side of the airport and started like gesturing other passengers to come with us, to come along. We have to evacuate. The airport started smelling really bad. We then evacuated the building to get some fresh air for like a couple of minutes until we were told to actually come back in into the opposite side of the airport, where we had to wait for like 3 hours. Now at this point, we haven't had anything. We haven't had any food. We hadn't had breakfast, lunch. It was already like 2 p.m. 2 flights got canceled. There was no social distancing here. Like we were so close with each other. And for the past 3 days, like we have been in the airport. We have been using airport facilities. We have been meeting new people. I think at this point, like we wouldn't be surprised if we had the virus. Like every little sniffle, like every little cough or an itchy throat, everything led you to think that, okay, we have the virus. What's even worse with that incident, the internet was down all day. There was absolutely no internet. And the only thing that kept our sanity was gone. No internet. We got back in there and there still was a smell of smoke.
Mukhang maligo.
We then later had lunch at like 2 p.m. I started feeling so bored. I took a nap.
So I just had a nap. I had a nap and inis ako kasi walang internet. So nagkaroon ng little emergency kanina. There was a smoke. And so we had to like evacuate. It's stressful talaga kasi wala pa akong confirmation sa ticket. I don't know what's gonna happen. It's my third official day now. And it's so exhausting.
Like, I thought to myself, I have to get out of here. I really was determined to get out of here tonight. And so I had gone to the office around 5 p.m. I fell in line for like an hour. I was feeling really conscious because I was feeling very underdressed. I was surrounded with passengers and PPEs, and these were the international Chinese students, okay, that were flying back to China. Most of them actually, the flights got cancelled due to the smoke. And I was surrounded by all of these people wearing white from head to toe. And after waiting for like what felt like forever, I had told the agent that I had a reference code and that she had to check this. She had asked for my ticket number for my original flight, and I told her I can't have it. There is no internet. The internet is down. So I wasn't very sure at this point. I had then asked her to actually book my flight in 2 days, in which she responded, "Why not tonight?" So there was a flight flying in 4 hours to Seoul, and she had asked me to come back in an hour. I felt so relieved. There is like serious progress and I can get out of this airport right now.
Oh my God! Wow!
I sat on the floor with so much thoughts in my head. I felt so nervous. I felt so uncertain. I kept my hopes up, like, and again, guys, I had no internet. So I just sat in there for like an hour or two with no internet. I was just going through my phone and I couldn't research anything, okay? What's even worse is I couldn't tell my family, about my whereabouts. That I had no access to anything, and I was pretty sure that everyone was worried about me at this point. Like, they hadn't heard from me for like almost a day now because of this freaking smoke. And at this point, I couldn't contact Kuya Don, and I felt really bad that I would have left that night. What's good about it though is I didn't really have to feel alone. Like, I had people to talk to, and I told them that there was a possibility that I was leaving tonight. I was very excited about it, and I was really ecstatic that I actually felt really sorry for them. Their government's not opening up anytime soon. They've been there for like over a week now, and they were still stuck in there. When you see people leave, it kind of does discourage you. It kind of feels bad when people started to leave and you're left in there. You'd feel really hopeless at some point. And I know that because I've felt that. But as soon as I got my itinerary and my flights were confirmed that I was flying that same night, I was over the moon. Finally, the thought of not having to fall in line in this office or having to deal with the agents or not having to go through the security scanning again or not having to sleep in the cold benches of that airport, in their freezing airport for another night. It just felt like a huge relief. Just get out of there. I only had 2 hours before my flight, and the first thing I did was, to look for Kuya Don and tell him that I was leaving that night. I felt so sorry that he would have stayed longer, but to my surprise, I showed him my ticket and he showed me his, which he said he got the night before. And I was like, okay, and you didn't bother telling me. And he said he knew I'll figure it out anyway. I felt really weird there. The thought of that I could have possibly woken up to another day. I would have woken up feeling alone and that he wouldn't be around. If I hadn't gotten this last minute confirmation, and I think that would have driven me crazy if that did happen. He knew that I'll figure it out anyway. Like, okay, that was just really awful. I just went to the bathroom. It was just parallel to the gate. And so I wasn't really worried. I then had to freshen up and I was relaxed. And so I spent time there, brushing my teeth, getting ready and stuff like that. And I'm actually really glad that I had extra clothes with me. I had like hygiene stuff with me. Thankfully, I didn't have to feel so gross after all. It's been like 72 hours. But then as soon as I get out, I had this really weird feeling of panic. Oh my god, how come no one's around here? Where is everyone? I had to run really fast. Customer service desk to ask. And I've learned it was on the opposite side. It was moved there. I was really panicked. I couldn't really miss another flight. And as soon as I get in the plane, I was just I was so relieved that finally I'm getting out of that shitty experience I've had there. You know, it's been 72 hours. The flight I had was from Addis Ababa to Japan via Korea. So after that incident, it gets even more interesting after I got out of Ethiopia, after being stuck in there for like 72 hours. That's for another video. Just gets crazier from there. So I need to make a separate video for that one. If you guys like this video, you're interested in storytime videos like this one, I'm gonna be posting more of these in my channel. Hit the like button, comment down below, and subscribe. Bye!
More than I can say, do it to me.